Thanks for staying with us. Now, of course, you have seen reports of the Emfuleni municipality and the difficulties that this municipality has been facing. We have been looking at different sides of this particular story and also just talking about the impact that this municipality is now hit with, especially because its accounts have been attached by Eskom. Last week, we heard even from the MEC for Economic Development in Gauteng, who was talking about the fact that the provincial government is now working with this particular municipality in order to ensure that the situation is turned around. So let's get a sense of the fact that how are things going on the ground right now? Are we seeing an improvement when it comes to the situation? Makhosonke Sangweni, Director of Communications at the Emfuleni local municipality, joins us live now. Makhosonke, good afternoon, good evening, in fact, to you, and thank you so much for your time. Let's just start firstly with the situation as things stand right now. Is there an improvement?
Yeah, good evening to you and good evening to the listeners at home or viewers at home. Yes, there's been an improvement precisely because of an agreement has been reached between Emfuleni and Eskom. Of course, through the intervention of Minister of COGTA, Minister of Finance, Minister of Electricity and Energy. The provincial government is led by Premier Banyaza Lesufi, and operations are back to normal.
What agreement is this?
It's called an agency agreement. Agency agreement, it means that Eskom will now be responsible for production and also running our electricity service as a municipality, and that will be done obviously in partnership with the municipality, which is a distribution agreement.
And how do you pay them the money they say you owe them?
Out of the work that we are going to do collectively together, remember now people will be paying directly to them in a specific account that is opened jointly by Emfuleni and Eskom. Therefore, part of that money, 10% of it will go straight to Eskom to pay the 10% historic debt, and then the 90% will obviously go to Emfuleni after it has been aggregated in making sure that we pay whatever that is due to Eskom monthly.
All right, so I'm listening to what you're saying now. Am I correct to say you still don't have control of your accounts?
No, we do have control of our account. It's for that reason that our salaries were paid starting from last night.
All right. So it's going to now be this 10% and 90%. If you were, for example, struggling when it comes to revenue generation over time, how are you going to ensure that this particular issue of, paying Eskom this 10% is done? What's the plan that's been put in place?
There are certain requirements that we need to fulfill in the totality of fulfillment of the agency agreement. One of them is to continue to be aggressive in terms of how we improve our revenue collection streams. That includes business and households. And we are going to be doing it together with Eskom now. It will no longer be in isolation as Emfuleni. So we'll be in a rigorous program to do that, to improve that. But most important is that our councillors will be holding public meetings to engage with communities, encouraging them and persuading them to understand the importance of paying for services that they are receiving. And we'll be going around making sure that we do away with illegal connections that are around our communities and businesses. And we are pleading with everyone who's a resident of Val that it is important for you to pay for services, especially to those that are receiving services. And also we're encouraging the households that are qualifying for indigents to come and register, come forward and register so that they can benefit for free basic services. Of course, they are not free because they are still paid for by national and provincial government. But it's important for us to increase our indigent register.
All right, I understand the issue of public meetings with communities and the indigents register. But you're speaking about an aggressive approach. Is this going to include disconnecting those who are not paying?
Of course, that's one of the options that are available, but it will not be the first option. The first option will be to engage all stakeholders to support and rally behind their municipality so that it becomes a municipality of choice. But over and above that, there will be other methods, but like strengthening of bylaws. But where we are unable to and the people are not compliant, we will obviously have to have no choice but to make sure that we disconnect. But disconnecting doesn't mean it's something that is a permanent solution. We disconnect a person and give the give them conditions so that when we reconnect, what are the conditions that need to be fulfilled? So those are part of the options that are there.
So when it comes to the municipal's point of view, because I spoke to the MEC last week about his take on the impact that this has had on residents, the attaching of the municipality's bank accounts by Eskom. What impact, in your view, as the municipality, has this had on residents?
Of course, there were some slight impact that was happening. For example, there were those people who wanted to come and dispute their accounts, for example, who were overcharged for the month. So they couldn't access the municipal office. And many other several services that they wanted to access were disrupted. But it didn't have an impact to a sense that people had no running water, people had no electricity. Those services were still provided. And sometimes, obviously, the people who were doing overtime, they couldn't attend and come to work because of those dissatisfaction that they had. But we're happy to announce to you that that impact, it only became that much only yesterday, because the impact started to be visible yesterday, and then that's when workers started to protest. But what we're happy to announce is that operations have resumed today in earnest, and we've normalized the situation, and workers are back at work, and we don't think that we should be experiencing any other problem in as far as critical services is concerned,
and all salaries have been paid, as you said earlier, all of them. Nobody's outstanding.
I can say that without any fear of contradiction. All salaries have been paid.
And when we were speaking to the MEC last week, I was asking him a question about whether or not he believes that what we are seeing taking place in that particular municipality leading to this financial crisis and the attachment of the bank accounts, was it because the municipality simply did not have people who know how to do the job to avert this particular crisis, or was there something else that was going on? The MEC was saying that it seems to be a myriad of issues, but one of them, it does look like some of the people that are tasked with ensuring that the financial situation of the municipality continues to be a viable one may not necessarily either be interested in working or simply not know what to do. Why is it that it is happening? Because if the person you are accounting to is saying that he's finding that things are amiss when it comes to those who are occupying positions, it means that that municipality will continue to be in trouble into the future.
Look, I wouldn't want to really engage directly on that matter. I will leave it to my executive mayor, who's my political principal, to respond to that. But what I can say to you is that what we know is that we have been under Section 139B intervention, both from province and national. And provincial government and national government had given us people with a specific set of skills, especially in the finance cluster, who have been working with us for the past 3 years. So obviously, they have been part of us. We have been reporting to them, and we have been working with them. And the situation, they will determine it themselves whether it has improved or not by how they are making an assessment. If it has not, then I don't know how will they then look at it. Will the problem be with the people who are working on Emfuleni or the set of people that had skills that they brought to the municipality? But it's not a matter for me to discuss that. My political principal, which in this instance is the mayor, will deal with it. As I account to the my principal, which is the MM, maybe we will also have an opportunity to have that view. But we're not convinced that we have a lack of skills. The primary reason that we find ourselves in this financial crisis is failure to payment of services by both business and households. That's the primary reason. There are obviously other reasons that you can raise of malfeasance and all those other allegations, perceived and otherwise, of corruption that we cannot shy away from because they exist, not only limited to Emfuleni. And we appreciate that. Where they've been flagged, I think they've been attended to improve the situation.
I hear you when you talk about the fact that the primary reason is a lack of revenue generation and people paying for the services. If you're finding yourself at a crisis point, it means then that you may not have had systems that you are putting in place to ensure that right now what you're talking about, this aggressive approach, the fact that now you're going to be, having councillors to have these particular meetings with their constituents. This should have been done a long time ago because you did not see right now that revenue generation is becoming a challenge as a municipality.
No, the municipality didn't start to experience challenges now. That has been done, and we have always continuously been doing it, and we have been doing it. But you see, the problem is that we're a democratic government, and as a democratic government, you can do one thing over and over again to try and improve situation. If we're a dictatorship government, we would have long removed the people who do not want to pay for services, who are receiving the services. So as a democratic government, what you do, you persuade your people, because we are a government of the people, by the people, and which is what we have been doing. It's not like we have not been doing, we have been doing it. And if you can look in all these years that we have been owing, I can tell you now that the improvement in as far as revenue collection is concerned, it has improved a lot. It has improved a lot. We are sometimes aggregating. In other good months, we collect close to 80%, in other months 75%, in the lowest month is 65%. But we're doing our best. Take it into consideration that Emfuleni municipality is also plagued by unemployment of 52%. So most of the households find that they will tell you straight that they don't have the money. But what is strange is that those who say they don't have the money, they don't want to come forward and register as indigent so that we can know what we have. In a situation where you've got close to 1 million households, but you only have got less than 100,000 that are paying, but you are expected to give services to the close to 1 million households, obviously you will have shortfall, and obviously you will have challenges.
Makhosonke, valid arguments you're raising tonight, and certainly as you speak about this, it does look like there needs to be, either at a national or municipal level, a plan that's put in place in order to address exactly what you're talking about, because we may circle back to this conversation if people continue not to be able to pay and simply not become part of that indigence policy. But let me thank you for your time, and as you say, we'll continue then to monitor to see if things are working and if your turnaround strategy is yielding results. That is Makhosonke Sangweni, Director of Communications at Emfuleni Local Municipality. This is certainly a bigger conversation, and I suppose maybe it's one to even have, with various stakeholders as to what becomes the plans that are being put in place in order to ensure that municipalities don't continue to buckle under pressure.